You can load it up with a bunch of cargo, lob it over a mountain, and then it will just kind of be there waiting for you to kind of like pick up.
Hello and welcome to My Fave Thing, a show we make here at Rock, Paper, Shotgun, where I chat to an RPS staffer to find out what they love about a brand new game. This week I sat down with editor Katharine Castle to chat about the Death Stranding Director's Cut, available now on PC. Now, before we start, it's worth mentioning that this video is, much like the game we're discussing today, an expansion pack for our previous thoughts about Kojima's bonkers hiking simulator. Back when the game first made the jump to PC from PlayStation, former VidBud Matthew Castle, RPS in peace, provided his thoughts in this video here. If you're looking for a general overview of the game, go and check that out. Link in the description below. Otherwise, if you're keen to hear about all the new stuff included as part of this re-release, stick around. Make yourself comfortable. Maybe help yourself to a delicious can of Bridges energy. Yeah, they've changed that. Anyway, enough waffling. Strap your baby to your chest and pop on your timefall resistant jacket. Let's chat about Death Stranding Director's Cut. So Katharine, you've been playing quite a lot of Death Stranding Director's Cut on PC. What is your favourite thing about this expanded re-release?
Oh, so my favourite thing is probably, it's a tie between the buddy bot and the new cannon that you can fire your cargo across the map with. I think they're really cool. Kind of having already played a lot of Death Stranding, obviously for me personally, there's not much left to use them with, but I do like the idea of them very much. And I think that had I been playing this for the first time, kind of completely fresh, I think I would have used them loads in, kind of playing the game properly.
So you unlock these new, delivery aids throughout the story normally, is that correct? These aren't like items you unlock at the end.
Yeah, so you have to there are specific kind of missions that you have to take on in order to kind of unlock them, but they're pretty simple to do. Both of them, I believe, you can kind of access once you're in the main kind of central map after chapter 3. Very easy quests to do to unlock them. And yeah, once they're there, you can just kind of fabricate a buddy bot to be your pal, running around after you. It's particularly nice to see the buddy bots kind of actually become a bit more of a thing, because they were in the original game, but you could only kind of send them off to do extra tasks for you. And it was always a little bit of a gamble. Like if you hadn't really built any of the roads, they would probably damage the cargo quite a lot. I never really used them a huge amount in the main game, because I just thought, you know what, I don't want to get a bad score. I would prefer to do this myself.
Yep, I think that's fair.
Whereas now, as I say, they feel like a much more fully formed thing. They're pretty good at actually navigating the terrain. The landscape of Death Stranding is quite rocky and mountainous, and kind of at first glance you think this thing's just going to instantly fall over or like not be able to kind of pathfind to where I am. But I was actually pretty impressed. Like even when I kind of fell down a bit of a crevice, the buddy bot was sort of like trying to find kind of where I was.
Aww.
Kind of up on the kind of top surface. When I actually climbed back up, they had jumped across the gap to the other side, and I thought that was quite impressive. Like I wasn't expecting that. You can basically load them up with your cargo. You can also secure it a bit more with your special kind of strand band that you have. If your shoes happen to fall apart or you just don't fancy walking to the next big facility, the buddy bot will carry you. It's great. You can just sort of sit on the buddy bot. You have to take all the cargo off it. I must sort of add as a slight caveat. You can't unfortunately sit on your cargo. You can basically put all the cargo back on your back and then sit on the buddy bot, and he will just take you to, basically the next kind of, or the nearest facility, I think is technically what he's able to do. You can't, unfortunately, control him yourself. You just kind of press, I think it's C on the keyboard, and he will, basically just kind of like find the nearest thing and just kind of go to it. But sit back and watch them kind of like trek across the landscape for you. It's great. I love it.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, the thought of just jumping on something and the game playing itself for a bit. I mean, it's such a beautiful game, right? So just being able to chill and just observe the surroundings sounds really pleasant.
Yeah, it's good.
You said the cannon allows you to very easily shoot deliveries over things like mountains.
Yes.
Which means that then you can traverse it without worrying too much about having a load of stuff on your back. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. Yeah. So you can use your special building packs to sort of construct a big cannon, much like you can with the post boxes and watchtowers and things like that. And you can load it up with a bunch of cargo, lob it over a mountain, and then it will just kind of be there waiting for you to kind of like pick up, which in a way I'm sad that it doesn't also fire you over the mountain. That would have been brilliant, but it does at least kind of make, you know, climbing over those mountains yourself a little bit easier, because you've got just slightly less cargo to worry about. You know, there's less of a risk of either run out of stamina or you accidentally trip over and then all of your stuff just cascades down the mountain. No one wants that. It's just definitely better. Exactly. Definitely better to hoik it over the mountain with a cannon so that it's waiting there for you on the other side. I still, out of all of the different things that you can construct, I still think the zip line is the absolute king of delivery methods in Death Stranding. That is excellent, although it still requires a bit of legwork to kind of like climb to the points where you build the zip lines. But yeah, once those are in place, oh boy, you can zip across that map surprisingly fast, and it's great. That is definitely the best method in my eyes of getting from point A to point B via zipline. But the cannon is good. It is a good addition.
So if you're a new player, the cannon is fun, but the zipline, that's what you need to be looking out for.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, you've already finished Death Stranding, you've played the game to completion previously. Do you think the director's cut offers enough for returning players to revisit the game?
Like, yes and no. I think if you were sort of halfway through Death Stranding, then I think that the new additions they are good additions. They're fun things to do. Both things like the buddy bot and the cannon and the new gun. There's this new gun that you can sort of fires bolts of electricity for like a kind of instant kind of knockout. That's quite cool. The Maser gun. Those are all things, you know, that I probably would have used within the context of the game, whether it was halfway through or kind of still kind of hadn't really finished it. Having done everything kind of there is to do, I felt like the new story content was maybe a bit kind of on the slim side, that it all felt over quite quickly. And the racetrack was also good fun. They're sort of down by the farm again on the central main map. You can build a Mario Kart style racetrack, which is just baffling, and kind of race around that in either your bike, a new car, or the truck. I wouldn't recommend the truck or the bike. They're not very good racing vehicles, but the car's good fun. But yeah, sort of, unless you're kind of like a kind of leaderboard fiend, I wouldn't say that there's much there to kind of really keep you engaged or draw you in for kind of long periods of time. I think I saw more or less everything there is to see in the director's cut in about sort of 5 or 6 hours, which is, you know, not insubstantial. That's quite a decent chunk of time. And it was nice to revisit the game, kind of having left it for a couple of years or so, since I first played it on PC. Whether it's worth the $10 upgrades, maybe less. It's a less kind of convincing sell than if you have finished the game. I mean, obviously, if you haven't ever played Death Stranding, then this is definitely the version to get, because there are loads of cool additions, and it's still a great game. I've very, very much enjoyed, kind of going back to it.
I've got to say, I've never played this. I don't know why. I think it came out at a time when there was just other stuff to play. And I went to play about 2 hours last night just so I had a little bit more knowledge before I spoke to you about it. And I couldn't stop. I played it for like 5 hours. And I've got to admit, it looks stunning on PC. The gameplay is unlike anything else. This sort of walking simulator where every step could be treacherous is such a fantastic concept for a game. The story is bonkers, as you'd expect. Cannot believe the amount of stuff it throws at you in the first 3 hours. And just seeing Norman Reedus' little face when he's in that room and he's pointing at things and giving you a little cheeky wink. Absolutely bizarre. Just what a thing to behold and to experience. So I do think, as a completely new player, I know that one of the big things that they've been touting for this version is that they've improved the onboarding a little bit. So when you start the first mission, it gives you a couple of routes to choose from. It's almost like, hey, here's how you navigate. So I think they've tried to make it easier for new players to get on board and to find it a little bit more easier and to understand the rhythms and what they expect you to do. I just think it's fantastic and weird.
It is a very weird game.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Even when you're mentioning the bungee cord, in my head I was like, oh yeah, the thing that has his blood in it.
Yep, that bungee cord full of, woven with his own blood. It's a very strange game. I mean, I think it is very easy to bounce off it. Like, it took me a while to kind of really get into it. As you say, it front loads, the kind of the very beginning of the game with a lot of cutscenes, a lot of weird story stuff that just seems to sort of so like unreal. It's kind of, very difficult, I think, that even now, even if it has kind of made some more concessions to new players, I think there is still a lot to wrap your head around, and it is a very weird game. There's no denying that for sure. I mean, even just these new additions is testament to that it is adding a racetrack. I mean, what? It's so that, that's kind of definitely not what I was expecting when they fully announced the director's cut, or indeed a canon, really, which is just another kind of slightly baffling addition. But very good though. It is. I do like the canon a lot.
So just before we wrap this up, there is a completely new set of missions that take place in a new location called the Factory. How did you find these missions then? Because they're more stealth focused. Is that right?
Kind of, yes. Although I still think it's, considering Kojima's pedigree in obviously making some of the best stealth games ever made on any platform.
Yeah.
Death Stranding is hilariously ill-suited to stealth. There's a new area that appears as part of the director's cut called the Factory. It sort of looms a bit kind of ominously over Jeff Keighley's house in the very first part of the map. Weirdly. So yeah, you can access it quite early on, actually. I think it's as early as chapter 2, so before you get to the main kind of central bit of America.
All right.
Yes, there's this new factory that appears over Jeff Keighley's house, which is kind of on the side of a mountain, which makes it a little bit of a pain to, as I sort of played it, and all the missions were available at once, it kind of was just me kind of ping-ponging between this, the kind of nearest distribution centre and this place on this mountain. Yeah, you visit it 3 times. Each time kind of you get a little bit further into the factory, and there's sort of things you have to collect, some mules that you have to take out. I think it does want you to play it quite stealthily, but I think as soon as you basically take out anyone, or at least this is how I played it, maybe I'm just terrible at stealth. Like the whole lot just kind of like descended on me kind of instantly. So it was kind of just a case of lining them all up, zapping them with my new Maser gun, sort of electrifying everyone just in a kind of long line, and then just having kind of free reign of the place, really. So it maybe wasn't quite as stealthy as that initial trailer made it out to be. When they first kind of unveiled it, there was that quite nice cutscene, which is still in the final game, of Sam kind of looking suspiciously at a very large cardboard box and kind of jumping inside it, and then realizing, no, this isn't right.
I didn't realize that I thought that was just a fun thing they did for that trailer. That's fun that it's actually in the game.
In fact in the final game, which I quite enjoyed. I was hoping that the cardboard box would still be an option, but alas, he puts it back on the shelf and you just kind of have to do it normally.
Coward.
Yes, exactly. I mean, come on. You can't introduce a massive box and then just not let us play with the box. Kojima, you fiend. Taken as a whole, I think they do feel quite similar and maybe a little bit repetitive, but I think if you are playing the game basically from the start, as is intended, the missions are staggered over the course of you playing the game, so it probably will feel less like I'm just doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
And I believe that in fact the final part of that mission doesn't actually unlock until you finish the game. It's quite a nice payoff in terms of the story. There are some nice kind of nods to certain characters that you meet across the course of the game. Playing them all together, maybe a little bit kind of repetitive, but yes, if you are playing this for the first time, I think eking those out across the whole length of the game, I think will make quite a nice package for new players.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is if you're a hardcore Death Stranding fan and you're like, I really want to see what that new content's all about, it sounds like this might be your excuse to just play the whole game through again. But you definitely can just pick it up, load in your old save, and just charge through that new content, have a mess around with it. So that's Death Stranding Director's Cut. From the sounds of it, it's a little bit more of the same great game, and that is no bad thing, is my impression of this.
Definitely.
Hello, thank you so much for watching. If you're looking for more alternative PC reviews, you can find them right here at Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Take care, and I'll see you next time.